We now have a quorum. Welcome to the Wareham Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. So we'll start right with the hearings, please,
First,
Alyssa.
who is here, please, Sandy?
Oh, sorry.
Roll call.
There is Alyssa, Mary, Jim,
Elisa.
Sandy, Elisa,
Thank you.
Mary, Jim, Sandy, associates Carol and Ron Bessie.
Okay, notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for Barbara Malott, care of Beckett Builders, Inc., 9 Tyler Ave, East Wareham, Mass., to construct a garage located on Assessor's Map 1, Lot 65, 17 South Boulevard, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here for this project? Please identify yourself. Take yourself off mute and identify yourself.
Bill Bayshant from Bayshant Builders.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette will read to the project.
Okay, basically, we're going to
No,
be.
Bill,
Oh,
wait a
oh.
second. Mr. Bichette will read the project, then you can make comments.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry, didn't hear it
Close, BMP.
correctly.
No, that's okay. So the project site is at 17 South Boulevard in Onset, and the project involves the construction of a garage addition in the buffer zone to a coastal bank. A 16 by 22 foot garage is proposed, approximately 75 feet to the coastal bank, which is the Onset Bluffs, which are on the other side of the street from the subject property. An existing shed is to be removed so that the new garage can be constructed. The site is relatively flat and there are no grade changes proposed, so I would recommend the approval of the project with the issuance of a negative determination number 3.
Okay, Bill, now it's your turn.
Sorry about that. Yeah, basically, all the work's going to be done on Pleasant Street, not on South Boulevard. So there'll be no disturbance on that other side of the house going towards the coastal bank.
But I see some work about some steps to be relocated, so you will be doing some of that work there on South Boulevard? Or do I misread the plans?
I'm sorry, the walk is there now, but the walk is all broken and it's gonna have to be redone.
But it looks like it's going to be a new design than what you got there.
The stairs are already there to do the walkway.
What are you making the walkway of? Is it going to be
The-
concrete again?
The walkway that's there now is concrete,
Right.
and it would be the walkway that would go back would be of pavers.
Okay, thank you. I will ask the board if they have any questions, and now we'll start with Alyssa.
Okay, Sandy. I'm just wondering if this garage is going to have, I imagine it'll have electricity. Is it going to have water? running?
The garage is just for a garage. There's gonna be nothing in the first floor but a garage bay, and the second floor is just a closet
Thank you.
and part of a bathroom. It's not gonna be adding any bedrooms.
But it is going to have a bathroom.
Yes, it'll be part of the master bath.
So the bedroom is upstairs.
Yes,
Okay,
we're not increasing the bedrooms in the home.
All right, but here you're going to be putting in a new bedroom?
No, we're not putting in a new bedroom. The bedrooms are already up there. We're just adding space for a bath and a closet above the garage.
Okay, so is there a particular reason that you need the bathroom?
Just because the house is so small. It's not going to increase the bedrooms.
So does it become a tiny house, this new garage?
No, it does not.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? If not, Mary, any questions?
No question.
Jim?
No.
Carol?
No?
Ron?
No questions.
I have one more question, Sandy.
Yes.
Okay, so Is
Yes.
this something that David would recommend that we put in, that it cannot be converted into into a tiny house without coming back to us?
It's not becoming,
That would be outside of the scope of what we can do under conservation. That would be some up to building, building, planning, zoning, but outside of what we can, put a restriction on.
Okay,
This is already a pretty tiny house.
yeah.
can anyone
Okay.
hear me
Well,
now? Can you?
Excuse me, if there's somebody, Trish, can you mute yourself, please?
Barbara's trying to talk to you. Her her audio is not working. She's
But
on
who's, wait a minute, who's Barbara?
Barbara Malloy.
The owner.
Oh, can you wait 1 second? Let me finish with my board, then I'll ask if there's anybody want to comment on the project, okay?
I should be allowed to speak since it's my home.
You will.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to see the walkway replaced with pavers, which now makes them pervious. The
Well,
garage going,
we're taking the driveway out, so there's actually gonna be less permeable, more permeable area on the site after the garage addition. The driveway is gonna be permeable.
And the walkway too?
We can make the walkway permeable as well.
well, you're putting bricks in there, pavers.
Well, in the driveway, we're using a special permeable driveway. We could do the
Yep.
same thing in the walkway if the board would like.
Whichever product you use, as long as the water can flow through it.
Okay, that's fine.
What are you gonna do about the rain off the roof of the new garage?
We'll put it into a dry well.
Is it on the plan?
I do not know if it's on the plan.
No, there's
Dave?
nothing like that on the plan at this point, but that's something that, certainly the commission could just add as a condition if they wanted.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this project? And Barbara, this is your time to speak.
She's having trouble with her audio, I think.
I'm actually trying to speak to a friend's computer via phone.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Is it my turn to speak? May I
Yes.
speak?
Yes,
Okay, I am trying to make this house livable because currently right now it isn't livable. The bathroom is going over the garage. I have reduced bedroom space from 3 bedrooms down to 2. And the garage is necessary for me to live there in order to age in place. I don't want to fall in the driveway anymore. And the only things that are going over the garage is a closet and a bathroom, which I do think is necessary in order for my age to have on the 2nd floor. The driveway will be permeable. The walkway on the ocean side will be permeable. We are relocating the front door on that side because that's where it originally was when the house was originally built. So we're trying to make certain that this little house is going to stay there for another 150 years rather than falling down or having somebody come in and knock it down and put something inappropriate on that piece of property.
okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak to this particular project? Bill, I have a question for you. It says existing lawn area to be re-landscaped. Can you explain that?
Basically, it's just gonna be patched wherever it has to be patched and, it hasn't been addressed in a long time. So it's just gonna be repaired.
So if we make a stipulation, very low fertilizer, would that be a problem? We don't want a lot of nitrogens flowing into the stormwater.
No, I only use organic fertilizers.
Okay. Anybody else on this project like to make a comment? Hearing none?
I
I'll
move
take-
that we accept this project.
No, we need to close the hearing
Oh,
first.
we need to close the hearing. I move we close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy, yes, the hearing is now closed.
I move that we accept this project with a -3 determination. That we have a dry well by the new garage and that the walkway is permeable where it faces the ocean. And as usual, using low nitrogen fertilizer or organic project as Barbara has said she uses.
Okay, that's the motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. So you are approved, and Bill, before you start any work, see Mr. Bichette for the documents.
You good? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your little house.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Notice of public
Project down, 10 to go. Well, yeah, we're here.
Are you ready, Sandy, for-
Wait a minute, I need someone to mute.
8, 9, 10. We're 10.
Sorry,
Some-
is there
some
somebody
make it
talking?
continue.
Can you mute yourself, please?
Got it.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for Jonathan Ralston, 2 Mallard Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to install footings to repair a deck located on Assessor's Map 11133A, Lot 104, 2 Mallard Road, Wareham, Mass.
Is there anybody here that's speaking for this particular project?
Just me, Jonathan Ralston. I'm the homeowner.
Okay, so Jonathan, let Mr. Burchett speak to the project, then you can make comments, okay?
Thank you.
This project site is at 2 Mallard Road, and the project involves installing new footings for an existing 12 by 16 foot deck. And this is in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and bordering vegetated wetlands. Existing footings are to be replaced with 4 Bigfoot footings, and these are in the buffer zone of the coastal bank, which is approximately 12 feet away. All of the proposed work is to be done by hand. The deck would be supported temporarily by jacks so that the footings can be installed. Any excess material would be removed from the site, and erosion control would be installed between the work and the resource area. So I would recommend the approval of this project with the issuance of a negative determination number 3.
Thank you. Jonathan, anything to add?
No, well, there is one other thing that I would want you to be aware of. We are probably going to repair the stairs to the deck at the same time. They're wobbly and there's simple construction stairs on 3 stringers, but everything will be done by hand with no machines.
Those stairs currently come down to a concrete pad?
That's correct.
Okay, so no more soil disrupt in order to do the stairs.
That's correct. We'd use the
Okay,
same
thanks.
concrete pad.
All right, so I'm going to ask the board for questions. Jim, any questions?
No.
Mary,
No.
Alyssa,
No.
Carol,
No.
Ron,
No.
Sandy, no additional questions. Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this project? Get out of the way. I'm hearing none.
Move to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second from Jim. All in favor? Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy. Yes. The hearing is closed.
Move to accept the project.
With a
with a
negative,
-3.
I have a motion to accept with a -3.
Second.
I heard a second. All in favor? Sandy, yes. Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes,
Elissa.
close.
The project has been approved. So Jonathan, before you do any work, you have, see Mr. Bichette for your paperwork, all right?
Fabulous.
Thank
Thank
you
you all
very
very
much.
Okay, notice of public hearing. Are you ready, Sandy?
Yep, I'm ready.
Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in the request for determination of applicability for Robert Fry, 411 Pleasant Street, Dunstable, Mass. 01827, to construct a sunroom located on Assessor's Map 1A, Lot 6, 11 Harbor Ave, Onset, Mass. Onset Island, Onset, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak for this project? If they're here, they need to unmute themselves and respond.
If they're not here, Sandy, we can proceed with the review. And then if there's no questions, the commission can decide what they want to do as far as making a decision. If there are questions and no one's here to respond, then they can continue the hearing.
Okay, so talk to us, Mr. Bichette, on this project. Did you get to Onset Island?
I've been to this location before, so I'm familiar with it.
Excuse me, somebody needs to mute themselves. Okay, Dave.
So this project site is at 11 Harbor Ave, which is on Onset Island. And the project involves the construction of a sunroom on an existing deck in the buffer zone to a coastal beach and within a coastal flood zone. An 8 by 10 foot sunroom is proposed to be constructed on a portion of the existing deck. And this is approximately 20 feet from the coastal beach and within the coastal flood zone, which is a velocity flood zone. The sunroom would be constructed on the existing deck and would not require any new footings, as the footings have been deemed by the building inspector to be sufficient. So there really would be no actual alteration of the ground. The room would just be built on top of the existing deck and anchored to that. Any construction debris would be removed from the island and disposed of accordingly. So I would recommend approval of the project with a negative determination number 2.
Okay, questions, Alyssa?
I have a question, and that is, David, you know, this has been going on with the Conservation Commission before. You know, if somebody has a deck or a porch or something, and then they build a house on it, does this come in under that sort of thing? Were there any limitations when the deck was put on this house?
I'm not aware of any limitations that were put on at the time. And
Okay.
so in this instance, we're reviewing this application so that we are aware of what's being proposed, so we have it on record. So again, I don't believe that in terms of the wetlands issues, this project is going to impact wetland resource areas. So that's why I'm recommending the way I am with it. But at least this way we do have it on record. So if all of a sudden more of the deck turns into rooms or something, we'll know that that was not something that we reviewed or approved of.
Anything else for a question? Mary,
No question.
Jim,
No questions.
Carol,
No questions.
Ron.
No questions.
Okay. Dave, was there any description as to how this material will be attached to the existing deck? I was concerned that a velocity zone, it could become a lot of debris floating around Onset Harbor.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it does have to conform to the building code. It's not like they're just going to roll out there and slap up some makeshift thing. They do have to have it meet the building code. Now, whether or not that's going to prevent it from being destroyed in a hurricane, that's a whole nother question. So there is always that potential depending on the scale of the storm, if we have
Okay.
such a thing.
So the attachment to the existing deck is under the control of the building code and the building inspectors.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this project? Hearing none,
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Sandy, yes. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Alyssa?
Yes.
The hearing is closed.
Okay, I move that we accept this project with a -2.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes. The project is approved. And so I guess, Mr. Bichette, you will talk to Mr. Fry and let him know to get you for the paperwork before he starts the work.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, please. Next one.
It's a public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for John and Emily Heavey, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to construct a dwelling and relocate a shed located on Assessors Map 78, lots 75 and 76, 43 Marine Avenue, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here that wants to speak, that will speak for this project?
This is Brian Grady, GAF Engineering.
Okay, Mr. Bichette?
The project site is at 43 Marine Ave in the Rose Point area, and the project involves the construction of a single-family dwelling within a coastal flood zone, and some site work in the buffer zone to the wetland and in the riverfront area of the Wewianick River. A single-family dwelling is proposed within flood zone AE elevation 14. A dry well is proposed to handle runoff from the new structure. The associated driveway would be just within the buffer zone to the wetland, which is across the road from the subject site, and also just within the riverfront area of the Wewianick River. It's not clear on the plan in terms of the driveway material, but I would recommend the driveway be a pervious material. The site is a relatively flat site and has already been utilized for sheds and a pool and lawn area and so forth. So I would recommend the approval of the project with a negative determination number 2, and that the driveway be a pervious material.
Thank you, Brett. Brian?
Nothing to add.
Okay, questions? Alyssa?
None.
Mary?
No question.
Jim?
I have none.
Yes. Sandy? Didn't we have a problem in this area with some street flooding on another? Dave?
Yes, there was an issue at a point in time. That was some work that the town was doing on the road, but I believe that has been resolved. I've not heard any further issues or complaints about that, but anytime recently.
Okay,
Close the hearing.
no, Carol, any
Oh.
questions?
No, no questions.
Ron, any questions?
No questions.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this project? Hearing none?
Move to close the hearing.
Thank
Second.
you. And a second. All in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed.
Move to accept this project, the request for determination.
Negative 2.
-2. Mhm.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy. The project is approved and Brian, of course, no work until you see Mr. Bichette on it, okay?
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Clayton and Karen E. Telstone, care of Site Design Engineering, LLC, 11 Cushman Street, Middleborough, Mass. To construct an addition and upgrade a septic system located on Assessor's Map 76, lots 10 and 11, 69 Blackmore Pond Circle, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to represent this project?
Yes, Madam Chair, Thomas Hardman, Site Design Engineering.
Thank you, Thomas. Mr. Bichette, your turn.
Okay, the project site is at 69 Blackmore Pond Circle, and the project involves the construction of an addition and a new septic system in the buffer zone to Blackmore Pond. A 28 by 30 foot addition is proposed, approximately 30 feet from the edge of the wetland, which is the edge of Blackmore Pond. The project site is very flat and there are no grade changes proposed. There is a concrete retaining wall between the work and the pond. The new septic system would be a nitrogen reducing septic system, and the leach field would be outside the buffer zone to the pond. So hay bales and silt fence would be installed between the work and the resource area. We do have a DEP file number for this project. And so I also did just have a question about the garage in terms of, is this going to be a 2-story addition?
It is, David, yes. Garage on the first floor and living space up above.
Okay.
And a remodel to the inside of the existing dwelling.
Okay.
Inside.
So based on that, I would say that I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions for this project.
Okay, Thomas, anything to add?
I think David's covered it pretty well. New septic system being installed, Madam Chair, significant improvement over what's servicing the property currently. It's a denitrification system, has been approved by the Board of Health already. And the owner's anxious to upgrade things and get things back in good shape.
Dave, show me where the cesspool is.
Not even 100% sure on that, but I think it's right in this area here. I can't speak to it because I can't screen share.
Like,
Oh.
I can see the existing septic cover right here.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you got it, Dave. Thank you.
so that will be drained and filled.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Questions now. Alyssa,
No.
Mary,
No.
Jim,
No.
Carol,
No.
Ron.
Yeah, just one question. So it's going to be living space on the second floor. Are there going to be any additional bathrooms put in, or is it just going to be bedrooms, living room? What exactly?
Same number of bedrooms servicing what's there now, just reconfigured.
Okay.
And I've already asked my question. Is there anybody on the line that would like to speak for or against this project?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please identify
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay, I'm George Ekman, and I live at 64 Blackmore Pond Circle, which is across the street from 69.
Yes,
Um,
Esther.
I noticed on the plan that it calls for a 330 gallon per day septic system. And if I understand correctly, that accommodates 3 bedrooms, one in the smaller rental house and 2 in the larger house that's being remodeled. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The plan suggests that the larger house will really have at least 3 bedrooms, 2 that are labeled as such above the garage in the new addition, plus another separate room in the altered first
Okay,
floor.
George, I'm going to stop you. Those questions belong with the Board of Health with the approval of our septic system. Conservation does not get involved with the capacity of that septic system. That's a Board of Health code. Is there any questions you have on the conservation and of the site?
Question then about contamination of neighboring wells. My cottage is located directly across the street from the proposed leaching field, and I am not connected to town water, so I get my drinking water from the well, which is located in the front yard of my house. My concern is I don't see my well indicated on the plans, and there are other wells in neighboring properties that also don't appear there. How do we know that the wells have enough separation from the new system to prevent possible contamination?
Now, that's a good question. Thomas, it's up to you.
So we were informed that everyone else there was on town water and that was not an issue. I can say that this system is a vast improvement over the system that's there now, which is clearly in the groundwater and contaminating groundwater, which will be removed and taken care of. As far as a separation, do you know where your well is, sir? I'm sure you do.
It's in the front yard, in front of my house, right by my driveway. But I don't know where exactly the new septic system will be, so I'm not sure how close it makes it. I'd estimate about 100 feet.
And that would meet the setback requirement, yes.
Sir, has this issue been raised with the Board of Health? Because as the engineer had stated, the Board of Health reviewed this system, I believe, either earlier today or at a previous meeting that they had a couple weeks ago. Do you know when that was, Tom?
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago now. It was a couple of weeks ago we had conservation with no quorum, so it's probably a month ago now, yeah.
Does that mean it met all appropriate codes and I'm okay with my well?
Well, that's what I was asking you, sir. Did you happen to bring this issue up with the Board of Health? Because again, the Board of Health is the one who has the authority over ensuring that new systems meet whatever setbacks they need to meet from wells and whatnot. So if the Board of Health approves the system, because they're the authority on the approval of systems under Title V, the Conservation Commission really can't turn around and then not approve the system. You know what I mean?
Okay. And another question I have about the system. I understand it is a vast improvement. I also understand that how it works is that air is blown over the surface of the tank, and that is vented above ground. And again, I don't know a lot about septic systems, but I know septic system odor is not particularly pleasant. And our property lies not only directly across the street, but directly downwind of that proposed vent pipe. So is there a possibility that pipe could be moved someplace else so that I don't get the benefit of those odors, and also that there be a charcoal filtration system put in place to ensure that, again, odors are minimized?
Then, George, I strongly recommend that you take your concerns and questions to the Board of Health at the town hall and ask those questions regarding this particular septic system, because I'm sure they are better suited to answer it than we are.
Okay. And then a question, the Blackmore Pond Homeowners Association has over 70 members, which is comprised of people who own property around the pond. And as a group, as I'm sure you might know, they're very concerned about the ecological impact of any changes that occur in the area, especially properties with frontage directly on the pond. So as treasurer of that organization, I can assure you that a lot of time and money has been spent over the years to preserve the health of the pond. A large number of trees were taken down on lot 69 in the spring of this year in preparation for the proposed expansion. And I expect that could have some negative impact on the ecology of the pond. Could the homeowners association get access to the plans that were submitted when the permit was issued to remove the trees so that we can better understand how the ecological balance will be restored when the project is complete?
Dave, I think that's yours. Did they come before us for the tree removal?
I don't recall this coming in front of
No.
us for any tree removal. No.
I don't.
So how do we know? So if they didn't ask for permission to remove trees, does it mean if it was anything more than 30 feet away from the pond, they didn't need our approval? But it's a flood zone.
No, it's not a flood
No,
zone.
it's not a flood
The
zone.
buffer,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
buffer
it's not,
zone to the pond.
yeah, it's not a flood zone, but if, if they were taking down a large number of trees, even if they were outside 30 feet, they still should have come to the commission for our review on that. That's not something you can just go and start pairing up all kinds of trees within the buffer zone. So if that did occur, then that's a violation, basically. At this point in time, I don't know what can happen if this had come in front of us before the trees had been cut and it was all outside the 30 foot, then we would issue an order of conditions and allow it, because if the trees are in the way of the addition, then they would have to come down anyway. But again, without knowing the number and location of trees that were taken down, I can't really respond to the question. If this was the case and the engineer can maybe make a response to that, then maybe a fine is in order that should be issued for doing work prior to the issuance of an order of conditions.
My response to that would be that the site is stabilized. There's no runoff. There's no anything else heading towards Blackmore Pond.
Well, I'm not necessarily concerned about what it's like now in terms of its stabilization, but again, if a significant amount of tree cutting occurred without the commission's approval, then that's a violation, whether it's stable now or not.
Yeah, in terms of the trees, I see a 48-inch tree up by the shed in the front. I see a 12-inch tree.
I mean, those might be what are there now. As you're saying, this is what.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was before or after, David. I
Right.
can't speak to that. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
So George, my recommendation to your association, if you see people starting to cut trees, get a hold of Mr. Bichette so we can take a look at it before it's all done.
Yeah, this is a summer community, so people are not around that much. It's not that many year-round homes. So this happened in the spring. We came back for this late spring, summer, and the trees were gone.
Sandy,
Yes.
is it that you're hoping that Mr. Ekman that he would go to Department of Health regarding his septic and his well water? I mean,
Sounds like you muted yourself accidentally there, Lisa. You got to unmute yourself.
So should Mr. Ekman go to the Board of Health at this point for, to express his concerns? I mean, is that something? Because it's not our area, but it would be the area of the Board of Health.
Yeah, I mean.
Or is it too late?
It's too late, but he can ask his questions regarding the smell, the exhaust standpipe there and stuff like that.
And the water quality.
And, well, the distance from the water, but that's all within the Board of Health. But he doesn't know where his well is.
Madam Chair, if I could speak to the smell, this is a pretty much self-contained system. It takes fresh air from outside, runs it through the system to help treat the effluent. The vent is there, so the air has been able to really to be sucked in and through the system. These systems rarely, if ever, produce any smell.
Okay,
This is a state-of-the-art system. We're talking about a very expensive system here.
yes. Those new Title V's, nitrogen reducing are not cheap.
Right.
So, but to me, if George has any questions, go to the Board of Health and ask, go to the health the Department of, what's the word I'm
Board of
looking?
Health.
Board of Health, and
Board of
ask them, express your concerns and ask them questions regarding the system, and if they consider the distance between your well and this new system.
I mean, I'm hopeful that this is fine because this is as has been stated, a vast improvement
Okay,
over the system that is there now. So I expect, not knowing where the current, so I guess it's a cesspool is, I just want to be comfortable that this kind of a system would where the leaching field is, et cetera, would not have an impact on the well.
okay, good concern, good questions. So is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project?
Yes, please. My name is Barry Cosgrove.
Okay,
Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
if you can.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. Can the host fix that?
Yep, hold on a second.
Thank you very much. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. Is that coming up?
Just you.
Yeah, you should be able to share now.
You see it now?
No.
No? Let me,
If you hit share screen on your end, then you have to select what you want to share.
yeah, okay, there we go. I beg your pardon. Please forgive me. There it is. Is that up now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you to the commission and for your public service, and in particular for the years of helping us protect Blackmore Pond. We're very grateful indeed. I have a few comments. I'd just like to offer one comment on what the last gentleman mentioned. I have a Title V nitrogen reducing system, and it's a great system, and we're all for them. You can bet on that. But the idea that you don't get smell from the vent pipe is just not correct. And I know that you can buy, if it's helpful, charcoal containers that you put on the end of the vent pipe. They're like $85 and they work great. And perhaps the engineer here would be kind enough to commit to that. Very low cost. They are a smell problem. It's positive air pushing out an ugly smell. So here are my comments. I looked at this application quickly, and I saw that Blackmore Pond Circle was identified as a paved public way and the property abutted it. I don't know that it's a big deal, but Blackmore Pond Circle is not a paved road. It's not a public way, and the property doesn't abut it. So then I read on a little bit, and I read that all the structures will be located outside the 30-foot wetland buffer, and that didn't seem right to me either. So I took a look at the plan, and in particular, I zoomed in on this portion of the plan. I hope it's clear. And look, if I'm wrong here, please tell me. But as I see the 30-foot surface water wetland buffer designation here, you'll see the dotted line with the 30. Maybe I can help with that. You see this right here, this 30-foot buffer. You'll notice that that's measured about 15 feet into the pond. Whereas the red lines, which I put in, are in fact where the pond ends. That is the concrete wall. And if you measure 30 feet back, you'll see you get a very different result. And I point out that the Conservation Bylaw, Article 17A, makes it clear that the 30-foot no activity zone has to be measured from the boundary of the resource area closest to the work. So again, if I'm wrong, someone tell me, but this makes a difference, because if you came to Blackmore Pond today, as an example, following the drought and following the evaporation, the trans evaporation, and the growers drawing water for the picking season, you could measure 80 feet out into the pond, call that your buffer zone, and have a house cantilevering over into the pond.
If I could jump in quickly, Barry, on that note, I do agree, and I did measure from the concrete wall itself, and the addition is outside 30 feet from that wall.
But hold on one second. Here is the plan, though. The plan calls for an expansion of the deck, taking it up to, I guess, 10 by 24. It's probably 10 by 12 now or something. The existing deck is clearly within that 30-foot no-build zone. So to expand that deck would be clearly an expansion in the no-build zone. And
So I'm not seeing that on the site plan of a deck expansion.
so here, this plan I have here was, I got through the builder's office, building inspector's office. Let me zoom up a little bit if it helps. Nope, won't do it. But this is the plan, and the engineer can help. If they're talking about expanding a deck or adding a deck in the no build, I think I think getting those lines correct really does matter. And if you consider, here's a photograph, if it's helpful, you'll see the concrete retaining wall. It's 19 feet between the retaining wall and the existing deck. So if you run that existing deck the full length of the existing property, it's clearly within no build. And then you have to ask the question, if they're putting an addition off to the left over here, then where are the stairs going to go? The stairs can only go this way or this way, which would only increase the nonconformity. So I think this one needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit on this point. And I would also add this. I mean, they're proposing in this garage on the bottom floor, right here again, right smack on that 30-foot setback,
place we want.
a toilet with a door that would open to the pond. And I guess I just wonder if that's the best and highest use of that border of the 30-foot no build zone. And also note that they're going to lead overhead garage on that side, on the pond side. And I guess I worry about oil and grease. I don't know what goes in the other, the pond side, an 8x8 is a huge door. I don't know what's going in there. If you'll notice in this photo from the front,
Yes, on the
there's a ton of room where this addition could be moved away from the pond, minimizing the risk of a toilet right on the pond, minimizing the risk of oil and grease on the pond, and that again would be moving east away from Blackmore Pond. Also note that there's a large impervious concrete pad right here on the property, and I'm hoping that that plan is to remove that impervious feature. I also noticed, or missed it, if I missed it, I'm sorry, that the plan called for no in-ground runoff infiltration devices, which would be certainly in keeping with the good judgment this body has used over the years on improvements to buildings so close to the water. On the groundwater separation, I've heard you loud and clear. This is a matter for the Board of Health, but I just point out that we are the biggest advocates in Wareham for upgrading septic systems. But if you don't put adequate separation between the bottom of the system and the top of the groundwater, it kind of defeats the purpose. I understand they've made a pledge to the Board of Health to maximize that separation, and they can do it easily and cheaply because of fill they'll have from digging. And I'm hoping that maybe the engineer tonight could commit to that. Last couple points. This particular property's got about 130 feet. Don't hold me to that. The engineer can give you a better number. And you'll notice that one of their properties is here, one of them's here. The southwest breeze goes this way. And what have they got? They've got a fire pit they installed in the no-build zone about 5 feet below the branches, so all the smoke doesn't go to their properties, it goes to our properties right here. We checked with the state fire marshal and with the DEP and the Wareham Fire Department, and they indicate that such a fire pit in the 30-foot zone shouldn't be there, should be at least 75 feet from a structure, should be nowhere near hanging branches, right above it, all the sort of obvious stuff. And I'll point out, here's a photograph, and they're burning pressure treated wood, and they're burning wood they're taking out of the house from gutting it. So, we asked them to stop. They said, close your windows. I'd also point out that the gentleman mentioned about some trees taken down. They took a whole bunch of debris and put it on somebody else's land. And the property owner apparently said, hey, you're putting your debris on my land. And the applicant said, I know. So I guess, I would offer for the consideration of this body, when you see this kind of pattern here, whether some more consideration ought to be given to what can be done to assure the protection of Blackmore Pond. And I would urge that the debris dumping be removed, the nuisance fire pit not be permitted. The charcoal thing on the septic is cheap and smart. The concrete pad should be removed. The groundwater capture tanks should be compulsory. The 30-foot no build, I think we've demonstrated the math just isn't right on that. The gentleman raised the point about 3 bedrooms or 5. If you look at the design of one of those rooms, it's got every indicia of a third bedroom with a corresponding full bath attached to it. And I'd also point out that under the Wareham Wetland Bylaws, Section 8, subsection 2, this body in fact does have, it most certainly does affirmatively have the ability to compel a deed restriction as a condition for this type of a permit request. So those are my comments, and I hope they're helpful.
Thank you.
Well,
Could I address
I'm
some
not
of those,
sure.
Madam
I'm
Chair?
not sure where to start with that.
Well,
Let's start with the 30-foot no work zone. Dave.
Can you unshare the screen?
Hope I'm doing this right. Am I going the right way?
Yeah.
Just unshare it totally.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. Unshare. Let Dave control it on what we have.
How do I do that, Dave? I apologize.
Just hit share screen again, and then that should shut it off. When you hit unshare on the top of your screen, if you go to the very top, it should say unshare.
It says you are sharing screen, and then it says stop share. Should I hit stop?
Yeah,
share?
there you go. Hit that.
Hit stop share. Did that do it?
Yeah.
Dave,
Okay,
I've got one colored up. Can I share that?
Who spoke?
Tom Hartman.
Oh, thank you.
It might be,
Sure, go ahead.
why not, right? There you go. So the 30 feet is measured from the edge of the pond where it was at the time of the survey. Even if you go from the wall, we're 30 feet. The existing deck that's there.
If you could just hold on for one quick second. So for the commission, the 30 foot should be measured from the wall, not the pond edge at some point in time. So, but I do agree that the proposed addition is outside even from the wall. And as far as any new deck, I'm not seeing any deck expansion proposed on the site plan. So I'm not sure where Mr. Cosgrove was seeing a plan that represented a bigger deck, but I don't see that on the site plan. And if Tom, can you clarify that?
I think it's on the builder's plans.
Because if that is the case,
they talked about replacing the deck. And my understanding was the deck was going to be replaced in kind where it is because of its condition.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then that's fine. If there's any proposed expansion, then it would not be okay.
Correct. Absolutely. With regard to the charcoal filter, I think I can speak for the applicant. an $85 or whatever, you know, if he wants a charcoal filter, I'm sure we could take care of that. I don't see that as an issue. With regard to a toilet overflowing in the garage, I think that's a pretty not a very high chance of something like that happening. It's going to be plumbed with the house and everything else, and I think that that's going to be just fine. With regard to oil and grease, there's only a door in the back, and the amount of oil and grease that could likely come from a garage is pretty minimal. It wouldn't need to be addressed. I'm trying to think of all the other comments. With regard to the fire pit, I don't know. We don't have it located there. I don't know if that's been recently installed or has been there for a long time. I defer to the commission on that.
Yeah, that should be pulled back out of there.
I mean, certainly could agree to a condition of that if the commission so sees fit.
Drywall, roof runoff.
Roof runoff has not been provided here. We could also agree to that as well, Madam Chair. These soils here are very pervious, very sandy. Any roof runoff that's going to come down through roof leaders is going to automatically get recharged into the ground anyway. So,
But we can ask for a dry well.
yeah, the only problem is it's probably be chambers because the groundwater is high here, but we certainly can provide that. Absolutely.
And the concrete pad that's in the front of the property, that's staying?
The bulk of it is outside of your jurisdiction, and I don't know what his plans are for that. To the best of my knowledge and belief, it's staying, but I don't have an answer for you on that.
And I'm trying to think what else Barry had commented on. Barry, did we address everything of your concerns?
Well, I'd have to cheat and put my own notes back up to make sure, if you permit me. But just to comment on the garage door and the low risk of something leaking. Ordinarily, I'd agree, but this is an unusual garage setup. On the roadside, it's a 16-foot door. On the pond side, it's an 8-foot door. I mean, it's going to be an eyesore, number one, for people from the pond. But in addition to that, that's a door. I mean, so you can have a bathroom door where things could leak out, and you can have an 8x8 door where things could leak out. To answer your question about the what else, if you let me put my screen back up, I can answer it.
Where do you see an 8-foot door, sir?
If you go to the building plan, if you let me put my thing up, I'll show it to you.
David.
Did I hit click share now?
I got to unshare first, I think.
You asked,
you're looking at the builder's plans.
Yes, I'm looking at the builder's plan. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, there's an 8-foot door out the back. That's correct.
Which is a huge door, and it's a legitimate issue. And again, I'd press the conservation to ask the question, why not just move the structure forward a bit? I mean, yeah, it's increasing the nonconformity right at 30 feet, but if you've got all sorts of space that you can move forward to minimize these risks, why not, I guess, is what I'm asking. Now, to answer the question about what else was on the list. So the debris, it's not right that someone's prepping their property for a project and dumping the debris in someone else's property. We mentioned the fire pit, we mentioned the charcoal. The concrete pad is well within the buffer zone.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's only a portion.
Okay.
Can we go back? Can you show us the building, the plans for the building? Keep clicking.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to see the door, right? If you look right here, on your right-hand screen, upper right-hand corner, if you can zoom in, I don't know how to expand.
I can see, but what difference does it make if it's a 6-foot door to get their stuff in and out, or an 8-foot door that's outside of what we permit, what we control as conservation?
Well, my only point was that the gentleman mentioned there's one door out front, there's two, and there's just a lot of space there where stuff could leak out. That was,
That's anybody's home can leak out. I mean, it's, just because you have a door doesn't,
that's right. But
conservation doesn't deal with the building itself. We deal with the footprint of the building, and whether it's a door or small or large or whatever.
But yeah, the point to be made for your consideration was simply that these particular doors will literally be at 30 feet, 29.99999. So that's why I raised the point. You asked the question of what else? So a concrete pad, the capture tanks, the
Drinking water.
no building of the expansion of the deck or anything in the 30-foot zone. This business about is it 3 bedrooms or is it 5? Section 3A2 gives you that authority to remove all doubt. Just remove all doubt.
Well, the Board of Health already approved it for a 3-bedroom,
For
so that's what it
bedrooms.
is.
And it can't be any more than that.
For the septic system.
Correct.
Conservation has no authority over how many bedrooms.
Let me ask the engineer this question. The basement has double hung windows all the way around. Will that be just a playroom or family room?
I don't have any idea what it's going to be.
All right. I'm going to ask the board if they have any other questions on this project. With what George and Barry has said, I'm going to ask if there's any other issues or concerns from the board. Jim,
No.
Carol, Ron,
No.
Mary,
No.
Alyssa.
Sandy, are these the ones that are your concerns or the concerns of the people or not? The burning pit, the roof water, a dry well with chambers, charcoal filter, 8-foot door out the back, whatever. Debris that's dumped on neighbors, the concrete pad, which was taken care of, and how far the septic is from the well. Are those the issues?
I believe I'm going to limit it to the removal of the fire pit. Whether or not it's an 8-foot door or a 6-foot door, it's outside of our control. Remove the debris on the site and handle the roof runoff.
And hay bales and silt fence.
And that's, hay bales and silt fence are part of our normal standard conditions, but we will be doing 3 more things, being remove the fire pit, remove the debris, and handle the roof runoff. I think those is 3 additional conditions that I've heard.
And the adjustment to the system for the charcoal.
Well, putting a charcoal cap on it, is that part of us?
I would
It
think
can
so.
be. It can
Yeah.
be. He's agreed to do it
Yeah.
anyway, so why not
Okay.
include it?
And I'm going to be honest with you, when we first put our sewer line in front of our house, we were the first houses to connect. We have a charcoal on top of our line. It helps. Okay, so anything else? Any other comments from anybody on the line? George and Barry, are you all set?
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anybody else who want to comment on this project?
Barry, could you unshare?
Oh, sure. Pardon me.
Thank you.
I did it?
So,
Yeah.
Dave, did you want to add anything before we close the hearing?
Excuse me.
No, I don't have anything further to add other than the comments that I have already made and some of the comments that we've already discussed to be as added conditions.
Did I hear somebody else trying to speak?
Yes, this is Clayton Telstone.
Okay.
As far as the deck is concerned, we're not doing anything with the deck. It's staying the way it is, or any repairs that it may need.
Okay.
And as far as the debris on someone else, on Mr. Ekman's property, and it's going to be removed as soon as I'm done cleaning up the area over there. And
Why would you have put it on his property in the first place?
Yeah.
Because it's a debate whether it's his property or town property, because the town road isn't where it belongs. And as soon as I'm finished cleaning up the area, all the debris is going to be removed.
I would say remove the debris first and then start doing whatever else.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever the board wants, I'm not here to fight over this thing. I just want to get going with the project.
And the fire pit was.
And the fire pit can be moved. It's not a big deal. It was pre-existing before we bought the property, estate.
We're not saying move the fire pit, we're saying remove it from the property.
Yeah, we're gonna, whatever you want us to do, we will do.
Okay.
If you want us to remove it, we will remove it.
Sandy, did you say if he had some other place to put it, a fire pit, he can't do that?
At that point, there are some, sorry, there must be some type of building law or something regarding the placement of a fire pit.
Right.
Barry had some limits on his screen, but it has to be outside of the 100-foot.
Right. Whatever.
I don't know. It was been there since as far as I can.
Well, we only see as we only can deal with as we know it. So
yeah, that's no
we
problem.
now know about it. All right. Is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project so we can close the hearing? I'm hearing none. I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Elissa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed.
Okay. I move that we accept this project with some limitations. 1, the burning pit is moved. 2, the roof water goes to dry well. I don't know if that.
Or chambers.
Or chambers. That the charcoal filter is put on the exhale of air. That the debris that has been moved to the corner be removed before further debris is collected. And
standard order of conditions.
All those others.
With the standard order of conditions.
With the standard order of conditions.
And that's your motion.
That is.
Okay.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Elissa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the project is approved with standard order of conditions plus the additional items that were mentioned. So, Thomas, it's done. Please see Mr. Bichette before any work is started other than clearing away the debris.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take care of that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time
Thank
this
you.
evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Tina Peterson, care of Outback Engineering, Inc., 165 East Grove Street, Middleborough, Mass. 02346, to upgrade a failed septic system located on Assessor's Map 133A, Lot 153, 4 Sandpiper Terrace, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak for this project?
How you doing? Jason Youngquist from Outback Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Bichette.
This project site is at 4 Sandpiper Terrace, and the project involves upgrading a septic system in the buffer zone to wetlands within a riverfront area of the Agawam River, within a coastal flood zone, and also within the estimated habitat of rare and endangered species. The existing system is to be replaced with a new Title V nitrogen-reducing system. The site is within flood zone AE elevation 14. The new leach field would be approximately 52 feet from the edge of the wetland. Silt fence is proposed between the work and the resource area. I would recommend both silt fence and hay bales be used. The Board of Health has reviewed this project, I believe, earlier today, and the engineer can maybe comment on that outcome as to whether or not the Board of Health approved that. We did receive comments from the Mass Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program, and they had no comments to say that the project would have any adverse impacts. We did get a DEP file number, so with that, I would recommend the approval of the septic system upgrade with the standard conditions, which do include requiring silt fence and hay bales.
Thank you. Jason, anything to add?
Nothing to add except that it was approved by the Board of Health earlier tonight.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Alyssa?
No.
Mary?
No.
Jim?
No.
Carol?
No.
Ron?
No.
I did have a chance to visit the site. It looked like some of that soil was disturbed. Were you going to plan to put this system?
Correct. We did the perk test there.
The whole thing? I
Um,
expected a perk text to be a 3-foot hole or something.
No, because it's 3 foot wide by 10 foot long by the time you get your shelf all dug up, and then you got to spread the dirt back on there.
That's the size of the disturbance I saw. So, okay. Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this project?
Yes, me.
Yes.
We are the owners, Marion and Tony Pepe, and we'll do everything we can to keep this property as lovely as it is. Thank you.
Yes, they were sitting on their deck enjoying the beautiful
Yes.
fall day we had.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none.
I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Oh, I have a second motion and a second. Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed. Someone wants to take a motion for standard order of
Make
conditions?
motions with the standard order of conditions to accept the project.
Thank you. I have a second. All in favor. Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, approved. Jason, before any work is done, please see Mr. Pichette for your paperwork.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time
Okay.
and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Enjoy, Mary.
Last one, notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020, at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Brad Rubman, 290 Glen Charlie Road, LLC, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to replace a failed flume located beneath the unpaved access drive for the Maple Park Campground and RV Park, located on Assessors Map 127, lots 1000, 1001, 1003, 1004, and J290, Glen Charlie Road.
Thank
Wareham,
you.
Massachusetts.
Who is here to represent this project? Probably Bill, if he's still with us.
Yeah, he was. There he is.
Okay.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of 290 Glen Charlie Road LLC.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bichette, will you please speak to the project?
Yes, so this is 290 Glen Charlie Road, which is the Maple Park Campgrounds property. And the project involves the reconstruction of the flume culvert under the access road to the Maple Park Campgrounds. And this is within riverfront area of the Agawam River, within Inland Bank, and within an anadromous fish run, and also within the estimated habitat of rare and endangered species. The flume culvert is in disrepair and has been compromised and is no longer able to control water flow as it was originally designed to be able to do. The proposed project involves placing a cofferdam upstream of the work area and pumping flow from the upstream side around the work area and back into the downstream to create a dry condition area to work in. Sheet piles are going to be used, either steel or heavy plastic sheet piles are proposed to be driven into the ground on either side of the road and of the culvert. And these would support the side slopes of the road, which is elevated above the river and the water body there. The current side slope on the downstream side is held up by a combination of old telephone poles, tires and metal pipes and whatnot that have probably been there for I don't know how long. But all the old material would be removed and crushed stone and clean fill would be used to replace the removed material from the work area. It's proposed to replace the existing concrete flume with 3 42-inch diameter pipes. I had spoken to the engineer about using a concrete box culvert instead of the 3 round pipes to create a more natural stream bed situation. Part of the project would also involve the replacement of a section of 20-inch water main pipe that exists within the access road. The project is also within an anadromous fish run, and the project was not originally submitted to Mass Division of Marine Fisheries for their comments. So I had asked Mr. Madden that be done, and he said that could be done. We also have not yet received comments from Mass Natural Heritage, and we also did not get a DEP file number as of the time when I last looked at that. There's a couple other issues also not related to this proposed project that involve work that's been done at this site, which involves expanding the access road that leads into the site and cutting vegetation along the edge of the road, which is in the buffer zone, to wetlands, and some cutting even right up to the edge of the wetland. This was not something the commission has ever approved before. Also, there's an area adjacent to this proposed project where another flume was replaced a few years ago, and there's a portion of the pond adjacent to that flume that was filled in. Again, this filling, in my opinion, was a violation and should be removed. So based on some of the other issues I mentioned earlier in terms of comments from Division of Marine Fisheries and Natural Heritage and waiting for the DEP number, I would recommend we continue the hearing anyway because we need to get that information. But that's essentially the nature of the project, and certainly Mr. Madden can expand or add to what's proposed here.
Well, thank you, Dave. I know you and I met out there. We had a pretty good walkthrough and evaluated what was going on. It's, relatively complicated piece of work. One of the things though that I would like to point out is that existing flume. It's a pretty ancient cast in place concrete structure that's just totally deteriorated to the point where it was undermining along one of the side walls and causing a pretty good problem. So what we did just initially was pulled all the flume planks from the existing structure and drained down that water that was behind the flume. That flume was originally constructed as an agricultural water supply element. What normally happened there is is those flume planks would be placed in that concrete flume. This is just some background if you'd like that. If you don't, if you'd like for me to stop at any time, please let me know. But just historically speaking, that was an agricultural structure, and it provides water to the cranberries bog system that's to the south and I guess to the west. That's conducted on a seasonal and annual basis. And Dave, can you point to the flume that you were talking about, to the other one further to the left?
Keep going.
There
Yeah,
you
that
go.
one.
That's the flume that when we impound the water behind the flume planks of the existing structure, that water would flow into the pond and then downstream through the cranberry bog system. So we thought that that we could approach it from an agricultural exemption point of view, but where there were so many elements associated with it, we just wanted to provide you with a straight up notice of intent for that, as opposed to.
Could I just jump in for 1 second, Bill?
Sure.
While we're pointing this out to the commission, this is the area where the fill was placed, which basically this used to be pond, and now it's all fill. The flume used to just go from basically right here to here, and then they created this new flume all the way out to here, and then filled this all in. So sorry to interrupt you, Bill, but I figured while we were looking at that, the commission should know where I was talking about.
No, that's fine. And, the current owner really had no involvement with that, but we understand, and he understands the responsibilities that he has as well with respect to those types of things. But in any event, that water would flow from our pond back through that flume and into the pond in another pond, which is further, I guess, to the south, and run through the cranberry bog system. So the existing flume structure does have an agricultural element to it, just by way of information to you. So there is an immediate need to replace that. With respect to stream crossing standards, Dave and I talked about stream crossing. Stream crossing standards don't necessarily apply to to projects that are exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. And in this particular instance, it is a fish run. It is a fish bearing stream, but fish passage is provided. Dave, you want to point to where the existing concrete fish ladder is? There's an existing fish ladder that exists at the Agawam River now, and it runs to the east and then up to the north, all the way up to Glen Charlie Pond. Just to the north of this site, there's a dam. It's called Roller Dam. It's owned by the 80 Makepeace Company. It impounds Glen Charlie Pond. So that is the means by which fish would traverse, up to the pond from the river. So we really maintain stream continuity, and we do provide for some wildlife passage, but predominantly fish passage. So we think that regardless of what the situation is with the fish run, that the features associated with the fish run and the mitigating measures that one would need to employ are currently in place, inadequately in place. So that's what I would offer with respect to the stream crossing. The other thing that we looked at is the season of the year. The campground operates effectively from, let's say, May 1st through October 15th or so. So we really have a situation where all of our construction methodology needed to be chosen around season of the year and around materials that are best suited for this type of work. So this is why we're choosing what we're choosing, in that we didn't want to get involved with concrete. We did look at that, the winter conditions associated with placement of concrete, just the issues of dealing with concrete on a site, the sedimentation, things of that nature just didn't make a lot of sense. So we chose to really handle it by the traditional means with respect to a cranberry project water control structure. So this is a typical flume structure, but it is a little bit larger than what you've normally seen. There are three 42-inch diameter barrel sections. There's 3 5-foot wide headers across the face of the structure, and that will be what will be used to convey the water from that impounds behind the flume and creates that pond to the north. A couple of things. A couple of things. If you want to go back to the cover sheet, Dave, I'd just like to point out a couple of things, and please feel free to stop me because this is really a complicated project. There's a lot to it, and I have a tendency. You guys know me. I have a tendency to maybe over-explain things. But if we go to the cover sheet, do you have that loaded or not?
I don't, but I can get that if you want to hold on for a moment. Let me see if I can pull that up.
While he's pulling it up, what did you want to comment on it?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was just going to describe like the water flow that occurs on this site and what we're going to do to bypass water, and around the construction site, and just show you that it was the water that comes from Roller Dam or from the dam. It's overflow water from the dam, spills over the top of the dam during a rain event, let's call it, and we have an opportunity to send water to the west, and we have an opportunity to send water also to the east. On the east, it would run down the fish ladder, bypass the pond and the construction site. To the west, it would go to West Glen Charlie Pond. And there's a large flume there and a canal that runs water from Glen Charlie Pond to West Glen Charlie Pond. So we're really able to divert quite a bit of the water that could be generated, that forms that pond when it's allowed to flow in its normal manner.
Okay, so you're not just you'll be diverting the fish also.
No, the fish will not be diverted. The herring run will be in place.
Okay.
And that will always have flow in it from Glen Charlie Pond down to the Agawam River. We're not looking to change that. We're using that as one of our tools to regulate water flow around the construction site as it presently does. So you can see that circle. I don't know on the site, but Glen Charlie Pond being to the north, the little tiny 3-acre pond behind our flume, and then to the left of the circle, there's the first agricultural pond that also serves some functions for the campground as well. You might go just further to the west, and you'll see there's another pond right there that also provides water supply to the Cranberry Bog that's immediately to the west of that pond. And if we were to go, I don't know where, it's really difficult to see, but if you go up to the USGS quad sheet, Dave, and you see that first little tab that comes, there you go, a little further up, and that little tab that's to the left now a little, right there is where the flume structure is that connects West Glen Charlie Pond to Glen Charlie Pond. So we're able to run water around our work area, and that just helps really with the construction of things. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what really was going on more, globally, let's call it, with respect to the project. So that's what we're looking to do with water control. On the second sheet, I believe it's the second sheet, we show how we're going to isolate our work area. It's sheet three of 6.
Yeah.
We're proposing to construct I think we would like to use a super sack sandbag cofferdam across the face of our structure, so that we can divert any additional flows that might become problematic with construction or that build up just behind that cofferdam. So we would establish a pump location there and pump the water divert the water from the front of the structure around the work area and discharge that through a dirt bag that's shown on the plan in the general area where Dave was speaking of before, where that fill had been placed. So that's really another one of the controlling measures. The whole objective is to reduce the amount of water that we have to deal with during construction. So on the downstream side, we also show a turbidity curtain being placed across the river in that location. Any sediment or material that does find its way down gradient, we want to trap that, keep that isolated to really as close to the work area as you possibly can. So those are the first things that we were going to do at that site, is establish those controls, then place our erosion control barriers at the perimeter of the site, and think about how we're going to proceed with the work. So the work involves us. We're planning on driving vertical sheet piles along in the embankment of the roadway. There's that existing gravel roadway. It's not determined what it's made up of. The visual features that we see on the south facing slope of that embankment show us tires, concrete, pipe, pilings. There's God only knows what's in there. And we really felt that the best thing to do for the project and for the environment was to remove all that material. So what we want to do is create the isolation with our erosion control barriers, turbidity barriers, and our cofferdam, start some of the excavation, drive our sheets vertically into the ground, and isolate the work area, which is really will be the area between the vertical sheets. So once the vertical sheets are driven, we're able to excavate out all the unsuitable material and put back in more suitable material that we've detailed on the drawings, and install our flumes. There is a 20-inch public water main, public water major distribution line that runs smack dab down the center of that roadway that needs to be temporarily relocated during the construction phase. So I think those of you that are familiar with what's going on down in Cranberry Highway, you see all that above ground piping associated with the water system relocation there. We're looking to do a similar thing here at a little smaller scale. We're going to connect into the two 20-inch pipes with a small 12-inch diameter pipe and temporarily bypass that water to maintain continuity in the water system. I've spoken with Andy Reid, superintendent of the water department. We've hashed over the whole thing. Everybody seems to be, we're all in agreement with how we're going to proceed and on this. So that's really one of the trickier things to deal with. I mean, that's a big water line, it's 20 inches, and there's also some cable TV and telephone wire that goes right across the top of that in the center of the roadway. So once we temporarily relocate the utilities out of the way, we're really in the position to fully excavate, dig that all out, and place those aluminum flumes in place. It's a fair amount of work. We're also looking to, we show on the plan where the sheeting is going to be placed. We indicate also on the plan where the edge of the traveled way is. We've expanded it a little bit within the footprint of our sheet pile, and we're also required to place some vehicular constraints on that roadway. So we've designed a guardrail to occur at the edge of the roadway. And there's also going to be the need to provide some pedestrian security by means of a fence. So our detail shows us with a road, a wood guardrail, a fence beyond that, and bring our road back up to, put all that in place, bring our road back up to grade, and just like that, it would all be completed.
Oh, just like that.
just like that.
Just like that.
No, it's a very challenging project. It requires a lot of thought. There's a lot of work involved with it. But that's the sum total of what we're looking to do. We will have to, I know the question will come up about the trees that exist along the embankment by that flume. You know, if you really take a good look at them, they're in very, very poor health. They're not really a good thing to have on an embankment that's used to impound water and what have you. So, you know, I think that I think that that's, you know, something that we're going to need to do. We show those as being removed from the site, and that's one of the things that we have to do. You know, due to the condition of the existing flume, you know, we just think that, you know, it's almost emergency in nature in some respects. It might not fulfill the definition of emergency project with respect to wetlands regulations or the bylaw, but you know, where that water main is, the size that it is and what it serves, you know, we really, I think, need to get this thing knocked out as quickly as we can. And we have an accelerated schedule. We're trying to obtain an order of conditions, get through the process, engage a contractor, and have this project completed between, let's call it between now and when the campground opens in May. So we're really looking to complete it by the end of April.
So if the flumes now collapse, it takes the water main with them.
It could.
It could.
Yeah, that water
And-
main is also encased in insulated concrete.
Okay, so it's pretty stable. Okay.
It should be, and I mean the span that water main passes over is like 15, 16 feet.
Okay.
If the lengths of pipe were placed out properly, it would be beneficial, but we can't guarantee anything.
Now, this is taking some time, and we know we have to continue it because we're missing the Mass Division of Fisheries, the National Heritage, DEP, etc. I'm going to ask quickly if anybody on commission has any questions. Ron,
No, none at this time.
Carol,
No, none at this time.
Jim.
No, I enjoyed listening to the lesson.
Oh, Mary,
No.
Elissa. I never get it right.
Not at this point, yeah.
I mean, this was a lot.
Very, very complicated.
Yeah, a lot for us to take in, a lot. Now, if anybody has a chance, go out to the Maple Spring Campground, take a look at this area so you have some idea what they're dealing with the road barrier falling down into the water and the river coming down through it and what the flumes look like. Please have a chance, go out and visit the site because there's a lot to look at.
And, you know, I might add, if I just interject a thought, if you were so inclined to get together as a group, you know, I'd be happy to meet you out there and to show you, you know, I mean, it's really enlightening to put your eyes on everything that's out there. It's very interesting project, and there's a lot of challenges associated with it, and might be a good opportunity to see a few things you'll never see.
Road trip.
Yeah, there you go.
I like road trips.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, I just put that out there, you know, for what it's worth, you know, at your convenience, of course.
Okay. So is there anybody else on the line that would like to speak for or against this project? If not, I'd like to.
Yes, I would.
And who are you?
Ozzy Jordan.
Okay.
I am one of two people that are out when you come to where the flume is, just beyond it, there's a fence there, a gate. So I'm out that road about 2 miles roughly. And one of the things that was answered was the time of this. That's one problem, maybe. and access in, since that is the main access road into the two properties that are up there. And they're not too far, if you're familiar with the area, they're not too far from the high pressure gas line that's further up. There's two camps up there.
Yeah,
I've been up there since 1970, 1973. You folks made that whole area a conservation land. And I don't remember the year, but the fish ladder was done not too long ago. Some of the things I've been hearing, a little bit of news to me, but my concern is the ability to get up in there, because that's going to be a long time. And since I'm familiar with these kinds of things, you run into any kind of a problem, that's going to kill your completion date, even though there's nothing up there. There's that water line, there's a fire hydrant up there on the left where that little, it's a trailer with a piece of cabin or something attached to it. Does that water line go beyond that? Or does it take the left going into Maple Park itself?
There's a line that goes left into Maple Park, and that 20-inch line continues up to the north on Agawam Road. And we realize that. And with respect to access, what the thought is that for people that have rights to go north on Agawam Road, there is an alternative means from Maple Park Road to back your way through the campground and get onto Agawam Road. So we took that into consideration. We're not looking to isolate anyone who may have rights to access the portion north of the campground.
It just would be a longer trip.
Yes.
That sounds all right to me if I get access in there, and especially again if you run into any kind of problems, who knows, maybe we'll have another hit of some new virus or something, but whatever it may be, that it's not shut down completely. That's my major concern. Those two, the bodies are, again, I've been coming in there since 1970, so I've watched that change a few times. And of course, it was shut off recently, the gate, but I straightened that out with the people. It was no problem. There's no arguments, I think, on anything on that. It's just talking to each other to make sure that we all understand what needs to be done. You mentioned the Agawam Road. I've got the old maps that go up through there and shows all those fire roads, the access roads, etc. And some of the people down through the years think they own parts of the property there that they don't. And there is right-of-ways all the way up there. So that's another concern, that these aren't violated one way or another. But as long as there's a way to get in and out, that's fine with me. So, and I don't know if there's any block off from the camp. I know the camp down on that front end does shut and lock their gates after a certain time. And I probably could work out something with Kevin or whoever on that, but I don't know the upper end, because I think probably was 75 the last time I went, when the access roads were still available. Most of those have filled in at this point that I've seen. It just, the growth up there is just taking care of that. But anyway.
Hey, thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project before we ask for a continuance?
I move to continue the project to
November 4th.
November 4th is the next date.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, it's continued until the 4th of November. All right.
Okay, thanks very much. And if you do choose to want to get together and go out there, please let me know, and I'd be happy to escort you folks around.
Thank you. We're now on to our continued hearings. We have a LaCoy. Is there anybody here for that project?
We got a request to continue that hearing to the next meeting.
Is anybody here that wants to speak for or against this project? If not, I'll take a motion to continue 11:4 and thank you.
Continue to 11:4.
Yes. I have a motion and did I hear a second?
Yes.
All in favor, Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy. It's continued until 11:4. The next one we have is James Chickadelli.
Chair Daly.
Anybody here for that project? Or did I really brutalize the name?
No, it's Brian Grady with GAF Engineering here for the project.
Okay. Why was it? My notes, why did we have it delayed?
We had it delayed because there was some discussion about the coastal bank at the site and members wanting to go out there and just kind of take a look at things on this
Okay.
particular property.
Okay, so Dave, would you like to speak to the project, please?
Sure. The project is at 5 Valley Road in Onset, and the project involves a septic upgrade and the construction of a deck in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and salt marsh, and also within a coastal flood zone. The existing septic system is to be replaced with a new Title V nitrogen-reducing system. The leach field would have a stone wall around it on a couple of sides, as indicated on the plan. Also proposed is an 18 by 37 foot deck in the buffer zone to a coastal bank. At the last meeting, I had brought up the issue of a coastal bank being closer than what was represented on the plan. So in looking at it again, I would say I would agree that that really is more of a man-made feature and really shouldn't be regarded as a coastal bank. So we did get a DEP file number for the project. So based on that and what's proposed, I would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions, which include the silt fence and hay bales for erosion control.
Thank you. Brian, anything?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Questions from the board? Elissa,
No.
Mary?
No.
Jim?
No.
Carol?
No.
Ron?
No.
Sandy? None. Anybody on the line to like to speak for or against this project? Hearing none? I need a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
And I heard a second. All in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed.
I move to accept the project as stated by Dave.
With a standard order of conditions.
Yes.
Second.
I heard a second. All in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, it's approved. Brian, please see Mr. Bichette before you start any work.
Very good, thanks very much.
Okay, next one is Eversource. Eversource Energy. Anybody online here for this? If you're still hanging in with us, now it's been 2 hours.
Yes, Chris Newhall's here for Eversource. And
Okay.
we've got a couple other folks on the line as well to represent Eversource.
Thank you. Probably Jennifer, Fred, Danny, and John, the same as last time.
We've got John, we've got Danny, we've got Katie Barnacle, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else in attendance. I'm just looking at the participants list here, but I think that's it.
So, Mr. Bichette, your turn.
Okay, yeah, I'm just getting things here so we can see the.
If I recall, last time you had concerns about several lines and they accommodated, they gave us new plans showing work further out of the wetlands.
Yes, that's correct. So
Okay.
let me just get some info here. Hold on one second. Yeah, so the project involves upgrading or replacing a transmission line, and some of the work is either in the buffer zone to wetlands or over existing wetlands such as bordering vegetated wetland and Tyhonet Pond. So as Sandy mentioned, there was one area in particular where work was proposed fairly close to the edge of the wetland. We had asked for that to be evaluated to see if that work could be moved further away. That has been provided to us on this plan that's in front of us right now, showing that the set of the 3 poles has been moved further back than originally proposed, and also moving the limit of work further away as well. So that was really the main point, and I'll leave it up to the applicants to make any further clarifications or points they would wish to make. But based on the revised plan, I would recommend the approval of the project as a whole, and referencing the new setbacks along Tyhonet Pond on the page that's on your screen.
That's page 4, right?
Let's see. Yes, it is.
Is it my turn to
Oh,
speak?
yeah,
or-
Chris, I'm sorry, your turn.
Okay, thank you. Again, Chris Newhall here representing Eversource. And that's the gist of it, Dave. Thanks for going over that. I appreciate that. We were able to move structure number 11 approximately 20 feet to the west to accommodate Dave's comments on that particular structure and the workspace that we had laid out to install that structure. That pulled the workspace even further back from the bordering vegetated wetland boundary on Tyhonet Pond. The only other item that's come up in the last couple weeks was I think initially when we were before the board on September 16th, we said that pole butts would essentially be pulled out and compacted with gravel. And the construction supervisor did clarify to me that they may need to leave certain pole butts in place where they are would cause a concern for undermining the proposed structures that would be installed as a direct embed style. So that is not, say, structure number 11 that you're looking at right there, but some of the other kind of smaller structures that are a more typical telephone pole, electric line pole installation that goes directly into the ground. If the existing pole structure is close enough to the proposed pole structure location, pulling out the old pole butt can undermine the new structure and cause it to potentially, say, tip over or lean or something like that. So much like we propose to do for the single structure that is existing in the bordering vegetated wetland that's I think a couple of pages further to the east on our project alignment, we would propose to just cut those poles at the soil surface and leave the pole butts in place. And that's the only thing that's, I guess, we're trying to clarify at this time.
Yes, is there anybody else on your team that'd like to comment on this project?
No, this is just briefly, this is John Ventura, the manager of engineering for Eversource. Good evening, everyone. I think we did try to accommodate all the concerns, and let us know if there's any other questions about the project.
Okay. Then I will ask okay, Alyssa, any questions?
No.
Mary?
No.
Jim?
No.
Carol?
No.
Ron?
No.
Is there anybody else on the line that would like to comment on this project? I'm not hearing or seeing anybody.
Close the hearing.
Is that your motion to close the hearing?
That was.
Okay. I heard a second. All in favor, Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy, yes, the hearing is closed.
Move to accept the project with the description given.
With the, what, I'm sorry, with,
With the description given, I can't
no, standard order, yeah. We're gonna approve it with the standard order of conditions. Is that your motion?
I think that is, Sandy, yes.
Okay,
Second.
I had a second. All in favor? Alyssa,
Yeah.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy. Project is approved. So Chris, make sure you reach out to Mr. Bishop before you start the work, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one. Glenn
Friolo.
Petrolo. We're waiting for Mass Fisheries and Natural Heritage. They come in.
Hold on so I can kind of pull that up here.
Okay. Is there anybody here that is here to discuss or represent this project?
Madam Chair, Bob Rigo with Riverhawk Environmental. I'm here for the project.
Yep, you came back.
Yep, I'm back.
I didn't get out there to see the new markings. You were out there, you were going to give us some stakes or something, so we could see where you're going to put the deck, the dock. Thank you. I knew there was a D in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The location of the pier has been staked, and the a float was a bottle that was tied to a weight was put out at the location of the float in the river.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bichette, your turn.
All right. Move some papers around here for a moment. So this project involves the construction of a pier in Beaver Dam Creek, which would be within land under the ocean, salt marsh, and within riverfront area, and also within a coastal flood zone. The proposed structure is approximately 170 feet in length, but only approximately 85 feet out from mean high water. So as far as comments go, we did get comments from the harbor master who had no objection to the project. Did you end up getting comments from Mass Division of Marine Fisheries?
I did not, nothing yet, no.
Yeah, so we have not either. So again, unfortunately, at this point, I would have to recommend further continuance until we get a response from them on the project.
What did you fucking tell me this for?
Excuse me. Somebody's got a nasty mouth. Please put yourself on mute. Thank you.
So, yeah, so that's the situation at this point. So again, I would have to recommend until we get, those comments from Mass Division of Marine Fisheries.
Do we have natural heritage?
I don't believe it's in natural heritage. I'd have to look back, but
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was. I think it was just Division of Marine Fisheries that we were
Okay.
waiting for.
It was just in my notes. I will remove it from my notes. Okay. Bob, did you want to add anything other than we're going to have to continue?
no. Is it you have to get the comments back from the Department of Marine Fisheries? I mean, they've had the project for fairly long. I don't know with the new COVID regulations or how long they're given to offer comments back.
Well, typically we would want to have their comments in case there is some sort of, concern they might have relative to shellfish or other issues. So what I'll do is try to reach out to them between now and the next meeting and try to get a response of some sort from them one way or the other. And you might do the same, and hopefully we can get something by the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there anybody on, questions from the board? Alyssa,
None.
Mary,
No.
Jim,
No.
Carol,
No.
Ron,
No.
Sandy, I have nothing, so I take a motion to continue until November 4th.
So moved.
Before that, Sandy, just quickly, so Bob,
Oh,
I am
yeah, is there
noticing.
anybody else on the line that would like to speak for this project?
Yeah, and one last comment, Sandy, also. Bob, on the plan, it does show that this is within natural
Oh,
heritage.
okay, okay.
So we would have to verify of any comments from them as well on this.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
Oh, did we close the hearing yet?
yeah, continued.
We continued the hearing.
I need a motion to continue to November 4th.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy. It is continued until November 4th. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
we have finally have our Borrego solar systems. We have 3 sites. Dave, is there any continuance or any activity on the 3 sites?
We do have new information on 27, the 27
Okay,
Charge Pond
Then
Road
we'll
site.
take up 27 Charge Pond right now. Is there anybody here for that project?
Good evening, all. Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas, and Zach Farkas with Borrego is on the line as well.
Okay, thank you for hanging in there.
Certainly.
All right, Dave.
All right. Okay, let me just try to get this plan up in front of us here. Hold on.
Did I hear that planning board approved this one?
They did. Planning board approved this past Monday evening.
Just 27.
Just 27. We requested continuance for the 2 Tahanets, which we will from this commission as well, so that we can submit the revised materials for those 2 projects.
Stacy, do you have the most recent plan, or what is the date of the most recent plan on this one?
Yep, I have it. It's October 16th. I can share my screen if that's easier.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I'll switch over so you can do that. Hold on.
I'll be right back.
All right, you should be good, Stacy.
All right, so do you see my screen yet?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And Dave, I don't know if you'd like to do a summary first, or if you want me to kind of update where we were. And I did hear someone say they were right back. I couldn't tell who it was, so I'm not sure if we should wait.
Yeah, I think that was Sandy, so maybe give her 2 seconds.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Alan,
okay.
Alan just came in, wanted to know if the cat was in, and I said, yes, cat interrupted my meeting earlier. You know, we just don't want them out for coyote baits. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back.
Okay, so I'll give a quick summary.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Okay, excellent. So we did submit revised plans. As Dave noted, I have it up on my screen here, and I can run through it along with revised hydrology calculations, that was to address the comments we'd received from this commission, the planning board, as well as to close out Mr. Rowley's, the peer reviewer's comments. So with regard to the latest revisions, obviously, I think I spoke at one of the prior public meetings that we had gone out in the field with Dave to review the wetland delineation and this plan set, and I think the one prior also reflect those updated wetland limits. The main changes in this plan set, since the one that was submitted prior dealt with stormwater and sightlines to address planning and Mr. Rowley's comments. And so largely they focus at the site entrance here. And just going to the sheet that shows it a little bit more. So Charge Pond Road is along here. Hopefully you can see my cursor as I'm moving it. The site entry was originally a wider clearing area so that there could be a stormwater basin here. However, we worked with Mr. Rowley to determine that we could eliminate that basin. So that leaves more treat area at the site entrance and allowed us to thin it up. Additionally, the electrical connection was originally proposed to be along utility poles, and we were asked to change it to pad mounted gear, which we've done and tucked that in here. Along with the stormwater changes, we were also able to take a look at this infiltration basin, which doesn't even overtop in the 100-year storm, and eliminate kind of a swale that came down this way so that we could keep the trees within this Y area of the site entry. So those are, I think, the more notable changes in this plan revision, in addition to kind of the overall reduction in the project area that had occurred a couple plan revisions back. The planning board did approve it on Monday. Mr. Rowley, I think, sent Dave an email kind of summarizing his take on where things stood and that he didn't have any further comments on the project. And then in addition, with regard to Conservation Commission considerations, we also submitted, and we had started discussing this informally at the last meeting, but there wasn't a quorum, so we didn't discuss it formally. We included and submitted a restoration plan for the dumping area that had occurred in the northern portion of the site. I do have the exhibits available to look at those if the commission would like as well. But essentially there's various debris there, some historic fill, and the intent is to go into that area. It's just under a half acre or so in size and remove the material. So we submitted that restoration plan as requested. So tonight we're looking to answer any final questions the commission may have and hopefully close.
On the this set of plans that we're looking at, does that reflect or indicate the cleanup area?
It does, yeah. There's a call out note, Dave. I'm not sure if it's on this sheet or the other sheet. There's a call out note, and then we submitted the exhibit plans that show, here we go. So approximate limits of trash debris to be removed per local permit approvals. So this dashed line here matches the limit on the exhibit plans that we submitted as well, which is more zoomed in so that you can have a better sense of it. Just if it's helpful, I'll pull those up. Always takes a second for the PDFs to load. So for the restoration area, it's in this part of the site. This is just a locus exhibit. And then we did a zoomed in version with the topography so that you could have a better sense of where it is. And I should say this is based on, we had undertaken a site visit with Dave to review the area and kind of discuss the approach as well.
Right, so at the site visit, we kind of flagged out an area and that's what's reflected in the green?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so with that, I agree with the way that's represented. We did do a site visit to review the area that needs to be cleaned up / restored. So I have no problem with that and would see if the commission has any further comments.
So you have a restoration plan, David, in the office?
Yes, I have the restoration details that were submitted. Like I said, it's not per se superimposed or reflected on the overall site plan. Is that correct, Stacy, other than the note?
Right, so the limit is shown on the plans with a note. We wanted to make sure that there was flexibility in terms of if there were comments on the restoration plan. So we just put the call out note with, it shows the limits of the area and says per local permit approval. So I would anticipate that the commission may want to include a condition in the order that references the restoration narrative and exhibits.
That was the October 6th email, a top October 6th document that I finally found in my folder.
That's
Yeah.
right, yes.
So we should make sure we include that in our standard order of conditions, that that restoration takes place as planned.
Right, and that all debris and materials that need to be disposed of have to be disposed of off-site in accordance with all laws as far as disposal of such things.
That sounds good. Is there anybody else who wants to comment on this project before I ask?
I just have a couple of comments or things that I would like to clarify before we go forward, unless there's comments from the audience.
No, Dave, why don't you continue?
So in terms of the fencing of the perimeter of this site, which typically is what you see on these things, is it also going to be the case that the fence is going to be up off the ground so many inches to allow for wildlife to traverse underneath?
Yes, yep, so it'll be similar to the other solar projects that Borrego's done in Wareham, where it's raised 6 inches, I think it is, it might be 8, but 6 sticks in my head off the ground so that wildlife can traverse under.
And in terms of just to clarify again, I think, it's the case and shown that way, but just to be clear that within any of the vernal pools or potential vernal pools, there's a 100-foot no touch zone.
Correct, and that 100-foot no touch zone is actually taken from the edge of the wetland around the vernal pool, so it's a little bit conservative. It's bigger, it's actually greater than 100 feet from the pool, what would be the limits of the pool itself. We just wanted to be careful about that. So yes, there's at least 100 feet away from the vernal pools, any of the potential vernal pools.
Okay, I don't have anything else, Madam Chair, at this point.
Okay, so, Alyssa, any questions?
I just wanted to know how many units are in this project? How many
solar panels?
Yes.
Zach, I don't know if you know off the top of your head or if it's on the plans.
It's approximately 11.5 megawatts.
So how many?
How many individual panels? The exact number will be on the cover page.
Okay, that's what I was
just.
So
This is Dean. It's 28,620 modules.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mary?
No questions. I think they were answered.
Jim?
No, I have nothing.
Carol?
No questions.
Ron?
No questions.
I have no other questions. Is there anybody on the line that would like to speak for or against this project? No, Kathy or Nancy?
Move to close.
Okay, I heard a motion to close the hearing,
Yes.
Second,
and I heard a second. All in favor, Alyssa?
Yes. Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
yes.
Sandy? The hearing is closed.
Move, now if I put this, move to accept the project and the detailed plans, revised plans. So that would be the standard condition.
In referencing the restoration details.
Yes.
The October 6th restoration details.
October 6th or October 16th?
It was an October 6th, 2020
Okay,
from Beals and Thomas. And the comments Dave made about the debris removal.
I agree. So that-
Okay,
So that the motion would be to accept the project as changed per October 6th, as well as the removal of debris as spoken of at this meeting.
Just to clarify, if I may, Madam Chair, the revised plans are October 16th and the
That's what we
restoration plan is October 6th.
Right.
all right, the October 16th, that's where that 16 came from. Revised plans with the October 6th restoration plan and the debris removal. I heard it, that's the motion.
Second,
I have a second, all in favor, Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
yes.
Sandy, yes, done.
Thank you all very much.
So Stacy and company, nothing gets done until you work with Dave on his documents, okay?
Yes.
Never. Thank you all.
Thank you. So I'm going to, sorry, can I take the next two together and ask for a continuance on 140 and 150 Tyhonet Road?
Yes.
I move to
Is
ask,
there anybody here, sorry, is there anybody here for those two projects before we continue? Okay,
so
all right.
move to continue the last two projects, Borrego project.
To November 4th.
Yes.
I have a motion to continue until the 4th of November.
Second,
I have a second. All in favor, Alyssa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
yes.
Sandy, continue. Oh, damn. All right. Now, we're down to certifications of compliance.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So the first one on the agenda is the Onset Bay Center. This was the project done by the Buzzards Bay Coalition. That project has been completed according to the order of conditions, so I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion that's in a second. All in favor, Alyssa, Mary,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. All right. Done. Next one.
Okay, let me just get this out here.
It disappeared.
Okay, so this next request is for a project that was at 280 Cremisa Road, which involved the construction of a pier, ramp, and float system. On this particular project, I'm not recommending the certificate of compliance at this time. In review of the project and looking at the as-built plan that was submitted, it was found that the pier was built 14 to 15 feet longer than what was originally approved. There was also a deck built out sort of on the landward end of the pier, which was not part of the project. And there were some benches that were placed on the end of the pier just before the ramp that goes down to the float. So I spoke to the engineer and he did agree that the deck, could be removed. And my main issue is the extra length on the pier. So since that was not something that was approved by the commission, I would say that either the person or the owner has to make the project conform to the plan that was approved, or if they feel like they want to try to maintain the additional length on the pier, then submit a new notice of intent to get that approved formally. I'm not saying that the commission wouldn't have approved it. It's just that we haven't approved it yet, and therefore it needs to go through the commission's formal review before I'm going to recommend that we issue a certificate of compliance on this. So that's the issue with this one.
That's the same thing that you said 2 weeks ago.
Well, this
4
is the
weeks
first
ago.
time. This is the first time we're looking at this one.
Oh, I've heard this one before. Okay, so we're waiting for the homeowner or engineer to give us a plan, A notice of,
No, wait a minute. So they've been notified by David. According to our wetlands things, aren't they supposed to take care of that right away? I mean, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for their time, maybe?
I apologize. I'm here on behalf of the property. My husband and I are the executors of an estate. I'm Erica Johnson and my husband is Dan Johnson, and we've been listening to you guys. We're happy to comply. No one has gotten back to us with what we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a really
Dave-
bad miscommunication.
Dave, who do you speak to?
I've just been speaking directly with Bob Rogers from GAF Engineering on this. And he, had requested to have this discussed tonight. So that's why I put it on the agenda. So I don't know, Erica, if you heard my comments in terms of the process as far as what should happen in order for this to proceed.
Yes, this is Dan Johnson. I'm the personal representative. This was my grandmother's property.
Yep.
Pier's been there for quite some time. Appreciate all the efforts on your end and on Bob's end. Thank you very much. We've had some issues with our representation and the communication from the representation. So we're here now, and we'd like to hear directly from you what we should be doing next, and we will take immediate action.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple features that were not approved, and probably, or at least one would not have been approved, which was the deck or old floats, whatever you want to call it, that's on the landward side of the ramp going up to the pier. So those should be removed.
Okay, that's easy.
The other issue is the fact that the pier was built longer than what was originally permitted. So in order to get that straightened out, you would have to file a new application to request to get that additional length permitted, or you'd have to have that additional length shortened to comply with the plan that was approved. So those are your two options as far as I see it in terms of how to deal with that particular issue.
Didn't he understand that we're selling the property?
So we're going to be selling the property, and we have a signed purchase and sale. I believe the buyer is not going to want us to remove the extra length of the pier. So we'd like to work with someone to move this through somehow. How do we do it?
Sure. So what would happen is, a couple things really. So ultimately, whether it's yourself or the new owner, someone would have to submit a new notice of intent. Okay, and that's an application that would be submitted to the commission for us to review the project to include the additional length of pier. So that involves a public hearing, just like many of the other things you've listened to tonight. And then the commission could consider that application through this normal process, like these other applications.
David, I have a question.
Yes.
Would you tell them, is this within the realm of the Wetlands Protection Act for Wareham? In other words, if they came to us or the new owners came to us and there was no dock there, and would you have approved this dock, which is 15 feet longer than the approved one? And because of our rulings, and I'm not talking about them personally, I don't know them, but if you have a rule, you have to decide what's important and what's not.
Right. No, so that's part of what the application would provide is the details on the area and what the conditions are. So I can't really 100% say that we would have approved it or we wouldn't, because we don't have all the details in front of us to review. But in terms of some of the basic things, like, are they within the maximum length? Yes, they would be, because the pier doesn't go out, anywhere near what our maximum length provides. They do seem to have the proper water depth at low tide. So those couple of things, I would say they would be in conformance with. Some of the other things in terms of how close they might be to eelgrass, or whether or not the Division of Marine Fisheries might have a comment about shellfish, those sorts of things I don't know and would have to wait for their comments on before we could say yes or no. But I guess maybe to answer the question, is there anything that prohibits them from applying or is glaringly saying they would not get approved? No, there's nothing like that. So they would have the right to apply, and we'd have to just wait to see if any comments came back that would give the commission reason not to want to approve it. But again, without having those details in the application in front of us, I can't 100% guarantee that that would be the case. So we'd have to wait to have that in front of us, and then we could review it, get the comments back from the necessary entities, and then go from there.
Okay, how do we file an application? Is it available in which office around? We don't live in Wareham, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It is an application that is online, but you do need to submit a plan with that, and that has to come from an engineer. So you do have to have an engineered site plan, which shows the site conditions, what the proposed structure is, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so Bob can help us with this since he just was on the property very, days ago, and you should have something in your hand that describes the work he did. So I don't see this as doing a lot of rework, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, no, I met with Bob there, I don't know, a week and a half, whatever it is now. And we toured around there. So
okay.
Yes, he's very familiar with it and with the process. So yes, I would get in touch with him and he could help guide you through that.
We'll do that. I'll give him a call in the morning.
Okay, very good.
Thank you very much for your help and your guidance. We appreciate it.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you could also call me at the conservation office if you want to speak directly or have a question directly for the commission.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for hanging in there. I know it's been a long meeting.
No problem.
This is important. It's been over a year and a half when we're finally able to move the property. So it means a lot. Thank you.
All right, great.
Oh, Mary's cat looks hungry.
The next request is for a project that was at the Maple Park campground. If you recall, not long ago, we approved the installation of a holding tank for septic waste from the campers. So that project has been completed, and I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for that project.
Can I hear a so moved?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Alyssa? Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes. Done.
Yay.
Okay, the next one is for a project that was at 50 Blissful Lane, which is in the Shangri-La area. And this project involved the construction of a dock out onto the pond there. And so again, this one was one that's been in place for quite some time, and they just never came forth with the request for the certificate of compliance. So I would recommend the issuance of that certificate of compliance for this project also.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor? Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes. Done. Next.
This one, again, is an older project that just never got a request for a certificate of compliance. This was for a house tear down and rebuild at 30R Onset Ave. And so I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for this project. This site had several orders of conditions on it. One was for the reconstruction of the house. There was another one for a pier, and that one has a similar circumstance to the one we reviewed a little while ago where they built it longer than what was approved. So that's another one that we're going to have to deal with, but I don't have that one on the agenda tonight for that reason. And there was another order that involved some landscaping and so forth. So for tonight's meeting, we're just doing this one particular order, which I do think should be issued.
What was it for? You lost me with so many orders.
This specific one was for the reconstruction of the house.
Okay, thank you.
So Dave, are they aware that they need to submit a notice of intent and everything else, the people who own this place?
They're aware that there's an issue with the pier, and I've kind of outlined that, but I haven't heard back yet as to how they want to try to proceed with it.
So again, do we have a time frame here, or we're gonna wait and see?
Well, they're anxious to get a
I
certificate.
don't know, I'm just trying to, be consistent.
Sure. Yeah, no, they're anxious to try to get a certificate of compliance, and so they have incentive to want to get this straightened out because they're trying to sell the property.
Okay. So you want, we move to
grant this.
certificate of compliance for the building.
Move to grant this particular one that's on the agenda.
Move
Yes.
to grant the one on Dave's agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Alyssa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes. Oh, we're going to have a lot of paperwork to sign tomorrow. Okay, now, is there anything else, Dave, we want to cover before we talk about applicants?
No.
All right. I see Kwame on the line, and I see Michael. Michael Mercier just put in his application. He had been an associate for a month or so, and now he has an opportunity to come back and continue on the board. So Michael, would you like to tell us about you? Then we can ask our questions.
I think you're muted, Mike.
No, he's got,
No, he's muted.
not hearing you, Michael. Nope, I see your mouth moving. I don't see the mute sign on, so something's preventing you from talking to us. Nope.
Why don't you go to the next person and we'll come back to him.
Okay, Kwame, did I get that pronounced it? Did I pronounce it right? Kwame?
Yeah, it's Kwame.
Kwame.
Yes.
If you get his name right first, Sandy, it really won't be fair.
Miss Heard, how many years have I known you and how many years have I said your name right? Never.
It's all right. We'll continue.
Okay. Kwame, have you had any questions for us? I know you've talked to us before, but has anything else come up because you've been attending our meetings regularly, other than it takes a long time for these meetings?
No, it's very interesting. I'm learning every time I join the meetings and open up the email. So
okay,
looking forward to learning more.
Oh, and by the way, Sandy, before you continue, I should have mentioned before we got into this piece that I am going to do another meeting on the off day next Wednesday to do another educational thing like we did last Wednesday. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that up front.
okay.
At 4:30 again?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Kwame? Did I get it right that time, Kwame?
100%.
Okay, Kwame.
And my nickname is Q, by the way. So
Can I call you Q?
Yes.
That's easier.
Yes, much easier.
I got that one. So you'll be able to handle a Wednesday night meeting that goes for more than 2 hours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for him?
No.
Okay. Michael, did you get sound on you yet? No.
Why don't you try logging off and logging back in? Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, it worked for me.
Yes, it did. He's gone. So, we do have, I don't think I saw Lisa Morales on tonight, and I don't think I saw Charles.
I'm here. I'm
Yeah,
here.
she's
You are.
on.
Where are you? Where are you? There you go.
That pretty
Okay.
flat.
Now, I don't think last time we had a meeting, Lisa.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, that was probably the problem. Just the computer issue. All righty.
Okay. So, Michael, tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm sure everybody remembers me from back in the spring, and let's see. I had a fun time being on a unofficial member of the board, and unfortunately, I had to leave because of a job opportunity that conflicted with the Wednesday evenings. But unfortunately, but what ended up happening was maybe about a month or so ago that the job was not able to pan out, and now I'm available again to be able to serve on the board, and it'd be a wonderful opportunity to come back and to help serve to help serve and to help serve and work on these issues and so on and so forth. I think it'd be wonderful. I think I could be a wonderful asset. I could help right in. Because I know the process already with a lot of issues. You know, for example, I know the application process. I know, for example, things like projects like 30-foot and 100-foot buffer zones and so on and so forth. And I just think I could just step right in and so on and so forth. I have just in case the question does come up, I do have another job, but that is in the during the day now. So I'm not working in the evening and now. So I can definitely handle a Wednesday meeting, Wednesday night meeting, I should say. So it would be great to come back and be with everybody again. It really, really would.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Michael?
Nope.
Nope.
Carol, you're muted.
A lot of them, actually,
Ron
no,
is muted.
Cal mute. Oh, sorry, Cal
Any-
muted. I'm sorry.
Sorry, no questions.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no questions.
Melissa?
No.
Barry?
No question.
Okay. So, Lisa Morales, talk to us about, I'm hearing a, echo. Tell us about yourself.
Muted.
Hi, I don't know if the committee did receive my resume.
Yeah.
I sent it out.
Okay. I've sat through all the way to the end. I can't tell you how many of these meetings, both online and in person. I'm a registered real estate broker in Massachusetts, so I'm aware of all of the property laws that apply to purchase and sale of real estate, compromised properties that have challenging, as you heard these other folks talk about, they're trying to sell, they have a purchase and sale. So I'm aware of what goes on with all of that end of things as well. I've been an environmentalist all my life. I'm a long distance hiker, and I am very involved keeping tabs on what's going on in Onset. And I don't know there's too many people that have gone as far as I have in order to protect the natural environment in Onset. And I've been aware all this time about what's going on in the rest of Wareham as well. So I do have a master's degree, and I'd certainly like to continue to work with the board in a more formal capacity. Can you tell me what positions are currently available? I know you appointed 2.
Right now, we have 3 voting members slots available. We recommend 2 associates to move up, but until the Board of Selectmen makes that a formal position, we can't make that assumption that they will take our recommendation and move Carol and Ron up to voting members. So right now we have 3 voting member slots. And because Ron and Carol haven't moved up, we have 1 associate position. So Ron and Carol move up, then we've got 3 associate positions available. But until the selectman makes that appointment, we can't make the assumption we have them. Does that answer you? It's just darn, yes. So, does anybody have any questions for Lisa?
Nope.
I just had one quick question. In terms of, have you encountered situations like what we just are dealing with where people forget the fact that they needed a certificate of compliance and then therefore their closing gets held up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have, and
Yeah.
and especially if it's been a known issue for a long while, you'd think people are on top of that right from the get-go. But yes, I have, and I've had properties that have had oil spills on them, and it's been very involved. And I've worked in real estate on the Cape for the last 12 years, so I know all there is to know about Title V. So yeah, I have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to try this. I'm really reluctant to vote on associate positions until I know formally what we've got available.
Right, we
Does
had
any-
talked about this last time, that we were going to kind of wait, or the board had decided they were going to wait till the selectmen made a move and then make
Yes.
recommendations after that.
I mean, we can vote now, but I'm sort of reluctant to until I know how many positions that we have available for associates.
Right.
Why don't we delay it?
Does anybody want to comment on that?
I don't think we should do any move forward till we get the 2 full-time members approved. Then we know where we're going.
Then we know where we're going. Anybody else comments on this?
I'm curious, because you didn't have a quorum before at the last meeting, why the other positions haven't been approved at this point. It's
You'll have to ask the selectmen.
unfortunate not to be able to have a quorum.
Yes, it was hard last meeting because we lost, that was Dave Hall's last meeting, and we didn't have a quorum. But prior to that, we had voted on moving the 2 associates up.
Well, and also Sandy, you've done a really good job, because we've not had those meetings without a quorum. I don't think for maybe 3 years.
Lisa, jump a little closer to your computer because we're not hearing your sound very well.
I said,
There we
I
go.
think that the board has been really good, because I think that last meeting without a quorum, I really want not here, that's very unusual thing here. Our members come to the meeting. And,
Yes.
Right.
And they're consistent.
It's been a long time since we couldn't hold a meeting because of a quorum, because everybody has been so good about attending.
Right.
So, yes. So, but I'm surprised that Charles Pearson wasn't on tonight. He was invited. He's interested in conservation, but so here. So we will wait to see what the selectmen do Tuesday night with Carol and Ron, and then move forward with filling our associate positions.
Carol, thanks for coming.
We can have how many? 7?
Sorry?
Can we have 7 voting members?
I'm honestly not ready to move anybody up to a voting member position. I think they need more time as an associate to hear. For
Starting to fade,
move up
Sandy.
a 7th one. Sorry, the beginning to fade.
I understand that. I
Very-
was just asking a question.
Alan, stop it. Jim, I'm sorry, your question was,
I simply wanted to know what the number was. The limit.
7.
7, that's what I thought. Okay.
we're supposed to have 7. We currently have 4. But we finally got the resolution for, we know we have 2. Now we've got the confirmation with Rob's resignation because it wasn't in writing with his signature that took so long, but that's why we got 3 openings. And I have to admit, I was thinking about, I had to get a death certificate for Kenny, but I was told I didn't need that.
Move that we
But-
close the meeting.
Oh, I am so glad you did that. Second. Somebody second it?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're
I'm
closed.
saying aye too.
Thank you, thank you. Aye, aye. Thank you, thank you.